Welcome to Right on the Mark with your host, Mark Young. Today we're going to talk about moving to Cecil Township. Today I have the lovely Kim with me. Say hello, lovely Kim.
Hello.
Hello. Well, welcome. It's been a while since I've done one of these. It's actually been a couple weeks. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I know a lot of folks out there have been missing these podcasts, and I thought I'd make one when I got back into town with the lovely Kim. And I thought,
just sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for you to upload a podcast.
That's right. And what better way to bring one in, with the lovely Kim. So, like I said in the beginning, I thought we could talk about our move to Cecil Township and how we arrived with where we're at.
Yes, we started talking about this on another podcast, but we were to continue it, but it sort of got put off.
Yeah, we were supposed to continue it. So now I think that it's a good time. I think with spring, we're coming into spring. A lot of houses are for sale in the area. A lot of people put their houses up for sale around the spring because that is the best time to sell and move. However, when we bought here, it was fall, wasn't it? We didn't move into it. It was fall.
We moved in at the beginning of November.
Right, yeah. Right. So the whole process was we were living in South Park, and, we had a ranch house, 3-bedroom ranch house. We were growing out of that pretty quickly with having Sean and all of his toys. But the biggest thing was the congestion in South Park. So we're like, well, let's look for a place somewhere out in the country where there's a lot of land, a lot of space, and we won't have many neighbors.
One thing about our house in South Park, it was an oddity in South Park because we actually had a very nice backyard.
We did. We had a big triangle-shaped backyard. It was about a third of an acre. Yeah, it was pretty level.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of looking around to find a spot where we wanted to move to. I remember looking around the airport and looking at some homes out there.
We looked in Plum.
Yeah, we looked in Plum. We looked in Moon Township. And I want to say we looked around here at, once. Yeah, Cherry Brook. We looked even once in Cannonsburg, but for whatever reason, it didn't.
We looked at Pristine Fields, too.
Yeah, we didn't.
But everything was, we wanted new construction, but everything was a little bit out of our price range.
Yeah. So we wanted new construction because we always had this, urge to design our own house. Trying to design on a dime was kind of always fun. Why buy somebody else's house when we could build a house, pick our options, and pick the way we want the house to look, and then live in it ourselves, and we can make it our own. So I think we did that. We now live in Cecil Township in the Muse area, and we were able to pick a house, and we were able to design it the way we wanted. Options, add-ons. There wasn't many to choose from, but I think the first thing was picking a lot and picking which lot it was. So Mayfair Meadows had a lot of lots back then, and we're like, well, what about this lot? And what about that lot? And the design and the front of the house.
Well, there were certain things that I knew that I wanted. I wanted the morning sun in the back, or where the kitchen was. I wanted to get the brightest sun in the kitchen. Yeah. That was something that I wanted. And the way these houses are designed too is that you're on one side of the street is you have a porch, and the other side of the street you have a level walk-in from the road. So there wasn't a porch, and that was the other thing that I didn't want. So it worked out. This lot that we're on was actually had both of those. The sun would be in the back of the house where the kitchen was, and it would be level entry. Yeah, the elevation of the house worked out for this lot too, because I guess what we were talking about was we wanted a garage in the back. I really wanted a garage in the front just for the ease of convenience, but I saw the point of having a garage in back, and it makes the facade of the house look so much better, like you don't see the garage. So we do have a slope going down the driveway. And I didn't want it in the front because then everybody would know when we were coming and going.
Oh, yeah, I see. I see your point.
So, guess what? Guess who won?
Yes, of course, the lovely Kim won. But yeah, it was quite a process. I mean, we had to sell our house in South Park. We were building this house, and then in the interim, we had to find a place to stay.
Yeah.
Not only was that tough, was we had to store our furniture and our clothes and all of our belongings in a storage.
What happened was we sold our house so quickly. We didn't expect it to, because it was going to take five months at least to build our house. And we put our house on the market in May, or in April, I think, and we sold it like within a week. Remember?
Yeah. I mean, we sold it fairly quickly, so we had to move out of there. We actually rented it.
Yeah, we rented it
for a month from the owner, from the people that bought the house. We rented it off of them for 1 month.
Was it just one?
Yeah, I think so.
Because we didn't move out until August.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it might have been a couple months.
Oh, maybe it was. But yeah, so we had to stay there to get our belongings, to make a plan to move out here. And I want to say it was about 45 minutes to an hour to come here to Cannonsburg from South Park. So we would make trips a couple times a week. We'd come out, check on the lot, see what's going on, see how the building's going. And, at the time, Sean was pretty young. And I remember him getting car sick because we'd have him ride in the back seat all the way out here. And I remember a couple times that he would get sick and actually just throw up on the side of the road on the way here on a 45-minute drive. But
and it was a lot of windy roads, too, not the 4-lane highway or anything.
Yeah. And you hit a lot of traffic too.
Yeah.
And a lot of red lights, and it was just hard getting out here. Just logistically, it was tough because it wasn't main roads.
Yeah, we both worked in Pittsburgh at the time. So a lot of times we would come on our way home. We would come this way and then go back to South Park.
Yeah, we'd stop here first before we went back to our other house. So, there's a lot of back and forth. You always want to see the progress of the house. You always want to see what they're doing. And, of course, you always want to correct their mistakes because, there's certain things. I don't know if you folks out there ever build a house, but, it never ends up the way you tell them you want it done because they have some subcontractors out there that just do it their way and the only way. And there's one way, but you actually ask them to do it a different way. So you have to constantly be out there looking at the house as they build it to make sure it's on track.
Yeah, I remember one specific thing was when I came to visit the one day, we have a bay window off of our breakfast area that has a door to go out to the deck. And on the plan, apparently they had the door to open up on the left side of the 3 bays. And it was going to open up right over top of our driveway and garage.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. I don't know what the builders were thinking. Like, you're just going to walk out the door and walk over your garage?
Yeah, and I remember saying to the builder at the time, I'm like, I just stopped on my way home from work and I saw where they had the door and I was like, that's not going to work. How are we supposed to have a deck to get up? Oh, you can build a deck. You can cantilever it over the driveway and then, you'll have all this air. I'm like, no, it has to move. You have to move it. And I think it was a little fight with the developer or whoever it was, the home.
It was just the building guy, the building code officer, whoever was in charge. But they finally moved it. Yeah.
They were like, it's this way on the plans. That's the way we're supposed to put it. And I'm like, use your head.
Yeah, there's always those little things, nuances that go on when you're building a house. And, this is the only house we built. And, we've been here, 23 years? Something like that.
Yeah, it'll be 23 this year.
Yeah, 23 years. So we liked the design. We liked how we helped design it. And, we always try to keep it updated and fresh throughout the years. Because as you know, things change. Like trends change. Like paint trends change. Window dressing changes.
We were just talking about that last night because...
everything changes. I mean, your kitchen goes out of style, and then it cycles back again, 10 or 15 years later. So you're constantly updating and you try to keep up with the current trends, but, it's tough.
I mean, it's hard. One thing about when we built this house is, there were still some homes left to be... We weren't the last home to be built in this plan, so we had to deal with construction and all that kind of stuff beforehand. But... then once it filled and everything was done, construction stalled for a while.
Yeah.
And there was all this farmland in the back. It was so nice because you looked out the back and it was like, we both worked in the city, but it was a way for us to come and be in the country.
Live in the country, yeah. I mean, the backyard was, you could always see, the backyard was probably, you could probably look about a mile, maybe a half a mile to the closest road. So you could actually drive golf balls from the backyard to try to hit the road. Whenever we first moved in, we did that. But the plan's all built out now, and there's a lot of congestion here, and a lot of other home plans came in and built houses. But yeah, back in the day, whenever we first bought, there was a lot of land back there. It was an old farmland back in the day. So, the grass was always green here, and they were always baling hay in the back too. I mean, I remember once a year or twice a year they would bale hay. But
it was the perfect. Well, we didn't have the yard that we had at South Park, which Sean really liked a lot. When we came here, there was all this exploring area that he could go and go down and explored the areas, and he watched building the houses, which he was very much into bulldozers and dump trucks.
In fact we used to take his Tonka toys with him in the car when we'd come to visit and see the house being built, because he would play Tonka trucks in his backyard. So basically he had a dirt pile before the house was even built.
And then after we built the house and the deck was on, but we didn't have the finished patio underneath the deck. That was his area. That's all he did, was he could be out there all day just moving dirt with his. I think it's ironic that he's
moving dirt,
dirt,
and now he moves dirt for a living.
Trucks,
he drives big machinery, heavy machinery, and moves dirt for a living. But we were trying to look for signs when we were first starting to build. We're like, well, are we making the right move? Should we move here? I remember seeing the ad in the paper, and it was saying highly regarded Cannon-McMillan School District. I'm like, what? Never heard of Cannon-McMillan School District. It was just so far away from the valley where we used to live, or even from South Park, that I'm like, well, I'm not really sure that this was a good move. But we talked it over with the good doctor, and the good doctor's like, oh, absolutely, it's a good school district. I'm like, well, if he signs off on it, then sign me up. The good doctor had some solid advice, and he's like, "That's a good school district. I think that'd be a good move." So,
well, one of the things that really attracted us, because we really liked living in South Park, because we were used to that area. We, when we talked about Century 3 Mall, we were real close to that area, but that started to become very congested out there, and we were looking to get out of all of that congestion, and we moved out here, and I mean it was really nice for a long time. There was not much build up, but because there was so much farmland around here, eventually it is, it's still being developed all around us.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're busting at the seams at the schools. I mean, they're building new schools. They're adding on to the old schools. So definitely a lot of people are moving into the area. But
one thing about living in South Park, it was Allegheny County.
Yes.
So our house was probably, the square footage was probably half the size of our current house that we have. But our taxes were like we got twice as much house for the same amount of taxes.
Right. I'd want to say that our house in South Park might have been 1,600 square foot. We doubled the size to almost 3,000 square foot here, and our taxes actually stayed the same. Yeah. So it was definitely worth the move here. And
yet it was just right over the border of Washington County from Allegheny County. So
we're actually not that far away.
Yeah.
But it's still a tough move, because you're still not sure that you're ready to move. You're like, are we still making the right decision? And I can remember coming out here thinking, well, we came out here for the first time, and of course Sean flew out of the car, ran away, and went over to the neighbor's house because he saw them on bikes and playing trucks.
And they were around his age.
Yeah, they were all around his age. So it was tough getting Sean out of the neighborhood whenever we left, and we tried to decide if we were going to build here or not. Yeah. So he ran into it turns out to be his best friend now, is Justin. He ran into Justin, and I can remember Sean kicking and screaming and crying that he didn't want to leave the neighborhood
to go back to
South Park while they built our house. And this is even before we even picked our lot. Before we even put money down, Sean just didn't want to leave because he just loved that family, and he loved the bikes, and he loved the toys. And I mean, that family, their family was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, Debbie and John's family was huge. And I mean, Justin was Sean's age, or a year older, maybe.
Yeah, he was a year older in school.
Yeah, I mean, they were so friendly. John was so friendly, he came out and talked to us. And Sean instantly made friends with the whole neighborhood, People back then would just come up to Sean and be like, hey, who are you?
Yeah.
Well,
we became, you're Sean's mom and dad, not... they knew him before they knew us.
Oh yeah. Sean, Sean was probably the mayor of Markwood Drive and the mayor of Mayfair Meadows.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of funny because Sean just has that charisma where he can make friends anywhere. You could drop him off in a jungle and he'd make friends anywhere. He's kind of like 007. You drop him off anywhere and he'll pick up and make a friend.
Like we used to go on vacation all the time.
Oh yeah.
Always. First day, made a friend.
Yep. And then always never wanted to leave. Yep. Always went kicking and screaming because he didn't want to leave. Whether it was a boy or a girl, he made friends with him and didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
But that was just one of the signs that we saw here. And I can remember... I probably told this story many a times. I can remember coming here during I think it was a rainstorm or after a rainstorm, and I was parked in front of the house, and I'm like, do I see a rainbow? Is there a rainbow over this lot? You've got to be kidding me. There's a rainbow over this lot. I'm like, no way. I'm like, yeah, it is. And it was almost like a double rainbow. And to this day, we still see double rainbows looking out our back window. Yeah. So if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I mean, between Sean and the neighbors making friends and the rainbow over the lot as I sit there and park in a car by myself, I'm like, that's got to be it. So, you make it your home.
Yeah. We wanted to make the move before Sean started school. That was the absolute, because South Park schools weren't that great at that time, and I don't know what they are now, but it was just something that was important to us to do the move then. But still, like you were saying, it's still, you're uncertain because you're set there and moving. I remember whenever we left, we moved out of the house and we left, and I remember I like cried all the way to Menneson because I wasn't sure if we were doing the right thing for Sean.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was tough, and as soon as we left the house, we said goodbye to the neighbors.
Yeah.
And as we were leaving, we saw the new people coming in, or the wife coming in with her bucket and mops ready to take over.
Yeah.
So she was ready to clean. So if you could picture them wanting to get out of their house, moving into our house, we were the same way, wanting to move away from that house into this house. So it's tough. I mean, we've only moved a couple times in our marriage, but take my brother for instance. My brother Mike buys houses like people have cars. That's the truth. I mean, a good friend of mine, Butsy, would say, your brother buys houses like I buy cars. He's just, he's like, I can't believe it. He's always moving. He's got a couple houses.
They should be our consultants whenever we do end up moving out of this house.
Yeah, Mike A. and Bobby's always buying houses. And when they buy a house, they're always looking for another house to buy, whether it's for an investment or just a place to live. And once they do that, they're always looking to upgrade it. Yeah. So, I think your mom and dad was like that. Yeah. Doc and Jackie, they moved quite a few times.
Yeah, what did they say, that they moved like every 12 years on average or something like that?
Every 11 or 12 years they moved.
This is the longest place that they've been living.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, just when they moved out here, I think that part is interesting, too. I know Logan's not on this podcast, but I think Logan was instrumental in them moving out here as well. Do you want to tell the story? Well, I think they liked the area, too.
There were only 2 streets in this plan for the longest time, and we were always looking forward to, possibly having more of a neighborhood, So there were always talks about the farmland that we discussed earlier, where we drove golf balls out into the area, that they were going to develop that. And they finally did. A different developer came in and put the homes in, but they were connecting our neighborhood with the new neighborhood. And they put in they cleared out all of it and put in the roads, the first 2 roads that were in there. And the first road that they put in, it was Fieldstone Fieldstone, right?
Greenfield?
No, Greenfield's
Oh,
behind
yeah.
us. Fieldstone and Mayfair from Mayfair Meadows, because that street was already started. But they put in the model home, and then they put in, I think, 2 other homes. And we would always look out there. And at that time, Logan was young.
Yeah, he was young.
3 or 4, or even,
Yeah.
I don't even know if he was that old yet. And we would always say, maybe Grandma and Pap can move over here. Maybe Grandma and Pap could build a house down there. And then my mom would come over and watch them in the summertime whenever she was off
Yeah,
from
they
work.
were here half the time anyway.
Yeah.
So, if anything, they might have been thinking in the back of their head, well, the kids are growing up. Maybe we ought to move out here,
Well, and my sister lived over here too, because she lived not
Right.
in our plan, but she lived in a neighboring plan.
Right.
And so,
They could visit.
They were like, "Well, we're out here all the time anyhow, and what real ties do we still have at
Yeah.
Menneson?" Because they both, were no longer working.
Well, I
in
think your dad
schools.
had retired then, since we
Yeah.
moved here, and I think your mom retired too.
Yeah.
So they might have been working for.
Well, my dad was up at the university.
Yeah, your mom might have been working at the university as well, traveling out here. So they really didn't have any ties to Menneson other than all their school
Right.
teachers that
The
they
church.
knew.
I mean,
Yeah, stuff like that. So it was hard for them to move out here. But the ironic thing is, we had a birthday party here, and I want to say it was for Logan's birthday
Yeah, I
party.
think it was.
And
Because it was in the spring. It was in the springtime. It was nice out.
And Jackie was telling her, I guess Tommy Joe, we're thinking of buying a lot down there over the hill, as she pointed through the back window. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. Sure, you're going to buy that lot back here and build. You're not going to leave Menneson. Well, lo and behold, I remember your mom and dad leaving our birthday party and going down there and walking the lot.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny because I didn't know how serious they were. But your mom got your dad to walk the lot down there. In fact, I remember getting out the binoculars to watch them and go, no, they're not going to stop. But they did. They looked, and I think they might have they probably picked the best lot there because they have neighbors on one side.
Yeah.
And,
there's a retaining pond that's like right next to a holding pond or whatever.
Yeah,
that's
but
right
they have the
next
nice
to
yard, the nice backyard. I mean, it's a nice level backyard. I think your mom wanted a walkout basement, so it's kind of like built. The house is kind of like built up a little, or else it could have been completely flat, pulling into the garage.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things moving here was each year that we stayed in our house. It became clearer and clearer that we made the right move because everyone else liked it. I remember my grandparents coming over going, oh, this is fantastic. My mom and dad coming over, oh, this is a great location. Look at the land. I remember them walking the house. And then your mom and dad coming here all the time. And then what sealed the deal was when they came here and says, we want to build.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that was that's how that went down.
2003.
Oh, 2003, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because that was right when and it worked out good for us because, I was just starting law school then.
Yeah, I mean, so it's been, 16 years now that they've been here, and they really don't look to move to any other place. No. So I think
and
that
it was I mean, they were here for the kids, like when they got home from school and stuff, and then we were here. Sean cut their grass, and then you cut their grass, and you shoveled snow. We are, we're here.
I mean, come on. We always went down there to do something with them. So that was a good time. I mean, look at our Friday nights.
Yeah.
Well, we could save that for another podcast, our Friday night visits. For 16 straight years, we've been a staple on Friday night visits. But we'll save that for another podcast. Yeah. But getting back to the task at hand, coming out here and seeing all this schools and everything that was available to us, we're like, we definitely made the right move. And, since then, we're still exploring the area. I mean, there's still areas that we haven't been to that we can go to now out in the country.
Well, it's like I said previously, it's still growing. It's still developing. I mean, it's developing a lot now, with the Marcellus Shell, the
oil and gas boom. Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's just, there's so many more people. The schools are busting at the seams. They had to build a new elementary center.
Definitely. But we are one of the last, probably the last first home buyers here in our neighborhood. Yeah. I mean, we have Derek up the road. It's been here since he built. Right. So that's been over 20 years.
The people down the street, they just sold their house. And,
yeah, so we have some awesome neighbors too. I mean, we kind of fit in with our neighbors, and Matt and Ann's great, and Jimmy and Deneen. They're it's been a good time.
We are lucky. We've never. I mean, we've had a lot of different. Like we were saying, Justin and his family lived across the street. But then they moved up the street, so they weren't that far away.
Yeah, and then I just found out today that they just sold their house. Yeah. It's now pending, so they'll be selling their house up the street, and I believe they moved to South Point, so they're not too far away. So that's funny.
On all sides, I mean, we've never really had a problem. I mean, Aaron and Scott were in the house
Aaron and Scott. I mean, look at Monica and... Monica and Paul moved just down on Briarwood.
So we've had neighbors who've moved within the neighborhood just because they needed a bigger house, or
they stayed in the school district because they like the school district.
Right.
So I mean, we were just out yesterday, taking a walk that we like to do weekly, but we were outside and we come across Matt and Ann. And they're doing their driveway. They're putting mulch out. They're sweeping. They're cutting trees. They're cleaning up. Everybody's got spring fever now, so they want to go and buy 50 bags of mulch to kind of spruce up their house.
Well, I would say almost every house in our neighborhood, they still take care of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're talking to us about getting driveways done, and they're like, oh, the three of us should go in on a driveway rebuilding plan. Yeah. Like, we can get a great deal if we have somebody come here and pave all three of our driveways. We should be able to get a great deal, you know. And then Ann comes out and just goes, no, I think we should just move. I think that's funny because I think we all have that idea too. And, sometimes you overstay and it's hard keeping up with all the maintenance on the house. You just want to sell it and get another low maintenance house.
I mean, eventually, I think that I always said, this is it. I'm never moving again. This is it. This is my last house ever. But now that the kids are older and they're moving on, and a lot of our we're the last people in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would keep open the options of moving somewhere else, but...
Yeah. I mean, our neighbors say the same thing, too. They like to move rather than remodel, but, it's always cheaper to remodel than move because, cleaning out our house after 23 years would take years for us to pack everything up and move, and probably clean out. We'll probably have to throw out a lot of stuff, too, if we did end up moving.
Well, I guess we did put our house on the market once before to move up the street.
We did.
And build another house that was in the plan that my mom and dad are in. But, I mean, we were actually considering it at that time, but that's when the economy sort of tanked, and, we would have had to basically break even on this house or
take a loss. Yeah, 2008 market
willing
crash.
To do that, at that time. It just seemed, so then we did remodel.
Yeah, so the moral of the podcast is basically, you get what you pay for, and things always happen for a reason. So we didn't sell our house for a reason. So we're still here and we're still happy. And we got the good doctor and Jackie living down below. We got great neighbors, and what's not to like?
I would also say that when you make a decision, just go full force ahead and don't look back and just keep on that road. Because chances are you are making the right decision, even though you might.
Well, you can make it right. Even if it's slightly wrong, you could make a right decino. I mean, you could look for a positive in every negative situation. So that's always good. And I think we do a pretty good job at that. No matter what we do, we try to hit it head on. And, we're kind of the run towards the fire people rather than run away from the fire, as people say.
Make it work.
Yeah, it kind of make it work. But a lot of work was put into this house, and we're still upgrading. We're still updating things. We're always looking at things to look at. But right now...
We're going to paint?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're going to paint. Maybe the 10-year plan. What did we say? We painted 7 years ago. We got 3 more years to paint. Man. So, we could hold off if we do it every 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's our move to Cecil Township. I mean, I'd like to hear some of your comments, and I'd like to hear how you people survived your move, because it's always a tough thing to do, because nobody really knows if they're making the right decision.
Yeah.
But there's always something to look forward to, and you can always look back on good memories, and you can always look forward to even better memories. So definitely, definitely do what you want to do. Yeah. Just don't do what you have to do, I guess, is another moral of this podcast. So
we're all about the morals of the podcast.
That's right. Well, that about wraps it up for our move to Cecil Township. I hope you enjoyed it. Lovely Kim, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me again. Can I come back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The ratings go through the roof.
Oh, right.
Yes, they do. And you do have a little message for us, don't you?
If you like this podcast, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And if you tap that little bell on the side, you will get a notification every time Right on the Mark is uploaded to YouTube.
Thanks, lovely Kim. That was great. Well, you've been listening to Right on the Mark with your host, Mark Young. See you next time, folks.